Hello, lovely people. I welcome you once again to Bright and Clara's channel. Thank you all for clicking. This is episode 21 on Project Adjoa and Dennis. All right, so we are back at site and we are still working. And this is a 3D representation. You can see this is a rooftop. Okay, it got a pergola at the rooftop with a stone cladding, and then this is the back patio. Okay, and so this is what we call a 3D. I always want to explain it because a lot of people give their money to some scrupulous architectures and they don't even get a 3D. So make sure you get the right architect and get a 3D because you learn to appreciate your building through the 3D. Without a 3D, you cannot understand the drawing. The drawing is just some lines anyway. You get a 3D so that you can understand it. So contact Jonathan, my architect, and he will assist you. You understand? This is a storage area. It's so beautiful. Just look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, so get the right architect and get the job done properly. All right, so here we are on the side of the slab areas. Okay, this a 4-bedroom house that we are constructing for our client. Okay, beautiful house, got 2 offices in them. Okay, and a big hall. Bedrooms are big, and we have a storage kitchen and a back patio. Okay, and then also we're going to put up the storage area where we're going to house the solar batteries and then the inverter. So the steel benders or the steel fixers are doing their reinforcement. Okay, yeah, they are putting the reinforcement. There's a secret beam all throughout. Okay, the main beams, they start with the main beams. Every time a steel bender begins their work, they first start with the beams. Once the beams have been constructed, everything done, and then they will drop the beam. Once they drop the beam, then the top bars and the bottom bars will begin to go in. Those are just the straight bars cutting across each other. But the main work is the beams. They need to work with all the beams. And then the height is very, very important. Okay, they might go based on the carpenters or the design, either by 9 inches, 10 inches, 11 inches. They have to, prepare the rings in that order. Okay, you can see the intervals, 2 inches, or depending on 2 centimeters. Okay, intervals, okay, for each of the rod. All these are necessary because they have to mark them, make sure they are all linear. If they just put the rod on top, no. Everything has to be in perpendicular. You understand? And the type of rod they have to use based on the span is very, very important. Okay. It's very, very important. Whether it's a secret beam, okay, it's an area that spans more than 21 feet, then they have to provide a beam that protrudes underneath. A secret beam will not be ideal. The beam has to protrude underneath. Okay, so all these are necessary. So either using 16 mm, 18 mm, or 20 mm. These are very, very important. So I urge all of you then take a closer look when your contractor or whoever you had contracted to put up your house for you. Anything that spans beyond 20 feet, okay, then the beam should protrude underneath. They shouldn't say it's a secret beam. If not, it will sag. It will sag in. Okay, just be careful. Yes, no amount of iron rod will save you from that. Okay, let's do what we call the mesh, double mesh. Okay, there's a rod underneath and the one on top, and that's going to cost you. So whatever they've done, they are going to do twice of that. You understand? So that's going to cost you more. And that one, you don't even pay less underneath. It can carry the weight. So just make sure the steel benders do the right thing. Always get the right, because in fact the person that holds the entire structure together is a steel bender. The steel bender is the pivot of every building. If you take away the steel bender, the rest are but the rest are just following. It is the steel bender that holds the entire structure all together. In fact, he is the integral part of your structure. You understand? So make sure you get the right steel fixer to do the right job for you. Most of them know the job very well, so they can even guide the mason. Okay, even when the architect, design something that does not practically hold at the site, they can tell you that no, based on my experience and this and that, let us convert this to this and do it that way. So I love my steel fixer. He's really good. Okay, he's worked with a lot of big companies. He's gathered so many experiences. Okay, so this is the rooftop. Here they will come and rest. They can sleep here. They can party here. It's huge. So whatever they have to do at the rooftop, they can do it. The pergola will come, and yeah, they can sit there and relax most of the time. Okay, so they are done with the bars, and Mr. Hammond, who is electrical engineer, is in now to do the piping work. Okay, so we're gonna do piping work for all the areas in terms of light. Okay, in terms of light and fans in the bedrooms. There's going to be ceiling fan in the bedrooms, so we need to provide fan hook. This is the time you provide the fan hook, okay, that drops down. Okay, I prefer the traditional fan hook to the new one, the one that they drill and put the bit like a wall plug. Sometimes it doesn't really hold for me. Sometimes I'm scared it might drop. So the traditional one is what they hook it with the rod here and they drop it down, and then they'll bend it, okay, so that the fan will go and sit inside. All right, so piping work should be done. They should be able to move freely. The iron rod should not compress the electrical piping. If not, when they crack, concrete will enter through the pipe, and then when the electricians are ready to draw their wires, it will be stuck. It will not be able to move. And so they should protect. Whoever is working should be able to protect the work of others. And so electrician, once they are done, carpenters will have to protect their work. Masons will have to protect the work of the electrician. Okay, and then on the day of casting, someone should be there to supervise and watch all of this. If not, most of these artisans, I don't know how they think. All they think about is their money. They just pour the concrete, and if something is wrong, they don't even care. They just keep pouring the concrete. So it is important that you keep an eye on this piping. The circular box, as you see, can raise. Once it raises up, concrete will go underneath. So they need to hold them together with a nail onto the board. Okay, they need to hold it with a nail together on the board so that it doesn't raise up. There's something to press it down completely so that concrete does not go underneath. You understand? So all these piping works should be done before the casting. The carpenters will now come and put the beam plate along the peripheral. This beam plate is actually giving the gauge of the concrete, which is 6 inches thickness. So once they put that board along the peripheral, the concrete can be cast with the measure of that board, and that is exactly what they are doing now. They are placing the beam plate, okay, and that is the gauge of the concrete cast, just a little bit above the rod, okay, and that thickness is 6 inches. We use beam plate for that. So when you get a cyber board, they have to cut it into two, get their 6 inches, and then place it there. Okay, these are very, very important. I used to do this whilst I was in Ghana when I was in my teenage. Okay, I used to lay all this pipe, and then also we have to put what we call they have a name for it. Okay, spaces. Spaces. These spaces create a free movement for the pipes, and also helps so that the concrete can settle properly on the board. So you need to have concrete spaces. Okay, they are just about 1 inch in diameter. Okay, and then they raise the iron rod and put it underneath. At every given distance, they raise it and put it underneath, and that is very, very important. So you can see that there are spacers everywhere. Okay, that will help the concrete to sit properly, and then the pipe will also be hidden within the concrete. Most often than not, if you don't do it properly, when you remove the plywood, you will see the pipe showing underneath, meaning that they didn't do a good job. You understand? Yeah, they didn't do a good job. So kindly take note of all these steps and proceedings so that you don't find yourself in a situation after spending so much money. You remove the board and then you see a pipe showing down there. It is not ideal to have that experience. Okay, so the top bars and the bottom bars, they've been tied with the binding wire. Wherever there are secret beams, they've provided them. And so carpenters have also done their work. We are left with the plumber. The plumber will have to come in now, and because it's a roof terrace, he has to do what we call rain gutters. Okay, so that when it rains on top of the terrace, the water can slide through those pipes and go down, okay, to the ground floor. You understand? You don't have to leave it there, and then when it rains, you have to come and scoop the water. That wouldn't be ideal. Okay, So rain gutters should be provided. It is important. So these are the rain gutters, and these rain gutters will be connected to those pipe and shooting downwards. Okay, and this will collect water from the rooftop all around. And so all my project, you see that through my estimate, everything is systematic. When I give you my estimate, you see that everything is laid out in there. You understand? Most people create an estimate and you read and you don't even understand. But with my estimate, you can read, every lay person can read my estimate and relate to it. You can ask questions. It is understandable. I don't use some building terminologies to confuse you. Okay, I don't use moles per meter cube or that and that confuse the person. No, we do things basic. You understand? Because I need to know the person that I'm dealing with so that when they take the estimate, they can read and understand. It is very, very important. So the rain gutter is done, electrical piping done, facial boarding, which is the carpentry work to get the gauge, also done. Okay, so now what is left is to gather the materials, cement, the concrete mixture should be ready a day before. Okay, so if tomorrow is going to be the casting, they have to prepare the day before and do the casting. So I'll be coming your way with episode 22 for the casting. If you love this video, give it a thumbs up. From me to you, shalom. God bless you wherever you are. Bye bye.